Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today's episode we're going to be discussing Teen Wolf Season 5, Episode 17, and this episode is called A Credible Threat. Just to start off, I want to tell you a little bit about my thoughts. We see that this is towards the end of the season already, so everything from here on out I feel is going to be action-packed. We have a lot of things that we're starting to unravel now. We're seeing more character development with the Hellhound. We're still trying to find out who the Beast is. We still got the Dread Doctors that we have to worry about. Scott and the Pack and whether or not they're going to stay together. We still have the issues with the Chimeras and just different things that we still have yet to find out. The Desert Wolf. All of these things I feel are going to start unraveling now, which we're seeing in this episode. A lot of character development for Parrish and for the Hellhound. Straight away, I love this episode. I thought from the very beginning that it was just really action-packed. We had a lot of funny moments, which I thought kept the tone of the show pretty lighthearted, yet there was a lot of conflict, a lot of things that we got to see with each character individually, as opposed to a lot of times where we don't get to see a lot of character development because there's like so much going on in one episode. I felt this episode we got to see a little more into some of the characters. We got to see the Desert Wolf again. We got to see Brett Talbot again, and I remember last video I did, I couldn't remember his name, but I looked it up and I remembered. And what else did we get to see? We got to see a lot about Kira and Scott. I like that. Corey and Mason, Liam and Hayden, and Styles and Malia. So there was a lot of relationship scenes going on in this one where we got to see a little bit about where each relationship is, how they might be advancing, and where they're going to go from here on out. So from the beginning, starting now, talking a little bit about the show, and I'm going to go through each episode or each scene, take you through a little bit about it, tell you a little my thoughts, and just give a little commentary on it. So from the beginning of the episode, Parrish is asleep, and we hear a voiceover, and he's talking about his worries about being the Hellhound and where he goes and what he's doing because he has no memory of it. So he asks Chris Argent and Scott and Styles and Liam, they're going to be tracking him. They're going to be following him to see where he goes, what he's doing, who he's with, and hopefully by this way they can find out things about the Beast of Jevudan and what's going on there. So Parrish at this point wakes up, and he wakes up as the Hellhound, and he makes his way out of his apartment or wherever he lives, and he's heading out somewhere. While they're finding him, or tracking him, they follow him to the Beacon Hills High School, and Chris actually like loses where he was at tracking him, and he meets up with Scott and Liam and Styles, and they talk a little bit about what's going on, and then we see that they start looking for Parrish, and then they find a body that's dead, and then they find more, and it leads like a trail into the high school bus, and inside that bus there's a lot of people who are dead and dying, and in that part the Beast of Jevudan is inside the bus, and he like shrieks and growls, and he takes off, but as soon as he does, the Hellhound goes after him, leaving Argent and the three boys behind. And Chris starts discussing with the three boys a little bit about the Beast, who he is, kind of what he's doing, and he's telling them that the Beast is evolving, that he's getting smarter. So to me, that's telling me a lot that, for one, it's getting harder. It's going to get harder for them because now he's more, the Beast himself is more advanced, so he can get away faster. He can manipulate, do different things. Whereas when he was just starting out again, he didn't have like as much strength, I don't think. But I think now he's just getting worse and worse. Um, we see in between this scene and Mason and Corey's scene that Melissa McCall, Scott's mom, is going to work, but she, in her house, Braden and Malia are there, and Braden has her shotgun, and she's like, I guess essentially what they're doing is they're keeping guard over Malia because the desert wolf is going to go back and she's trying to kill her, but she needs to do it on a full moon. So Malia feels that at the time that there's no full moon, that she's not in any danger, which, I think she would be either way, as we find out in this episode that she is. So the next scene we see, it's about Mason and Corey, and we see more of a development with their relationship. We see them get closer. We see Corey is upset. He's getting ready to, I guess, run away from home, and Mason's trying to talk him out of it. But Mason explains to him that for people like him who don't have any powers, who get mixed up in all of these things, they need somebody there like Corey to take care of them, to help them. So I really like this scene because not only do we see a little more of Mason, which I've mentioned before, I really like Mason. I think he's really funny, but we also see that the vulnerability with the supernatural, because not all of them are prepared and ready to fight. Say for instance like Theo, who's he's ready, he's eager, that's his thing, he wants to fight all the time. But it takes me back to, with Corey, it takes me back to the earlier, like first, second season, where Scott is battling his being supernatural. So Corey at this point is in that stage that he's not ready to fully take in all the things that he's going through. So far I really like that with them. They walk, and they're walking outside, and it comes to his mind that the dread doctors, with their frequencies and everything, that how they could hear stuff, it's like unraveling for him that maybe it's a transmission that's sending off, that's bringing the beast to them. Maybe there's something in the frequency that just keeps drawing them to him, that's like so loud that's his frequency, that's gonna set him off. And Mason is quoted saying to Corey that people are gonna die, a lot of people. So that starts the plan for the episode, that they have to stop the lacrosse game, that's charity lacrosse game, that's going to be happening later that night, that they're all going to be in, because there's going to be a newscaster there, and they're going to be setting everything up, and they're going to have their transmissions, and the signals and stuff are going to be too strong that it's going to bring the beast to them. So they're going to try, at this point they have to try to figure out how to stop that. A really funny scene in this episode, I think this is probably one of my favorite scenes, was Scott and Stiles go to a place called Stepping Stone. It's like a clinic or something that Coach is at, Coach Finstock, but he's there, and he's like laying like comatose in a kind of way, like he's just like, how like Lydia was in Icon House, Stiles reaches over like he's gonna touch the board of like checkers, and the coach goes to him and he's like, don't you dare touch that. And so we find out that Coach has been there for a while, and he's faking being sick so that way he can stay in there. And every month when they're gonna be releasing him, he has a relapse, so they have to or let him stay longer and stuff. But I thought that whole scene with Coach was just really, really funny. I for one am a huge fan of Coach. I think every time he's on the show, it's just a fun time. So I was really excited to see him back and see such a funny scene with him. From that scene we go back to Parrish, and he's with Lydia and the two Argents, Gerard and Chris, and they're talking about how to bring, or how how the Hellhound can evolve. So they're talking about that the beast of Jevudan has evolved. He himself every night, he remembers a little more about who he was, who the man was that his name got erased. So that's what the beast is trying to do. He's trying to remember who he is. But every single night that this teenager turns into the beast, that teenager is being little by little, he's like, I want to say he's like dying in a sense, because he's becoming more the man of Jevudan than the teenager that he is, but he doesn't know that. And the beast every night is evolving. He's becoming stronger. He's becoming bigger than what they could probably handle at this point. And for that, they need the Hellhound to be at his full potential. And for whatever reason, Parrish can't bring that out yet, out of himself or out of the Hellhound. So Gerard and Chris had came up with a plan, and they have this I'm not sure what it is. It's like an encasement, and they're gonna put Parrish in that, and they drop the temperature. By doing so, I believe they're trying to trigger something in the Hellhound. So once they put him in there, you see the steam of like it being really cold in there, and the frost and stuff, and then you start seeing that he's looking up, and his eyes, Parrish's eyes, glow red, which tells us that the Hellhound is now in there and not Parrish himself. So now we go back to the pack, and we're seeing Scott and Styles and Karen, the whole pack together again, and they're getting ready for the lacrosse game, and they're under the beliefs that coach is going to forfeit the game for them. We see in this scene Scott talking with them, and everybody's still discussing about what their plan is. And we find out that during their time in Eichen House in this previous few episodes, Scott actually healed. If we recall, in this first half season, he hadn't fully healed from when Theo killed him. He still had the gashes on his torso. It was opening up. It was still getting worse, I thought. But whatever triggered that, I think maybe it was the growl or the fact that the pack ignited together, is what healed him. And them like being able to overcome that, I think it gave him strength as an alpha and as a leader, that he was able to physically be healed. We see later on that the game is starting now, the lacrosse game, and Styles walks over to coach, and he's asking him like, well, now's a good time if you want to forfeit the game. Well, coach isn't having that, and he tells them, I've never forfeited a game before. And so that means that they're going to have to fight, or not fight, they're going to have to play the game. Yeah, they're going to have to fight for their lives, but people don't know that. Coach doesn't know that, but now things just turned on them. They were counting on him forfeiting that and stopping it. It's not going to happen, so that means that trouble is brewing, even bigger than they expected. Well, now the game is starting. And of course, Beacon Hill's lacrosse team is horrible, so they're losing the game from really early on. While the game is going, Corey and Mason are looking through the bus from the challenger school, the rival school is what I'm trying to say. So they're inside their school bus, and they're looking through the gym bags and everything, and they're trying to find shoes that match the beast, that the prints that they found. And there would be size 10, and they're presumed bloody. So that's why they're looking inside there. But, you know, they end up getting stopped. Somebody walks in, but Corey has the ability to make himself invisible. And we see in this episode that he has the ability to also make Mason invisible by holding on to him. So whoever walks in doesn't see them, and then he eventually leaves. I think he was just checking on the bus or what other stuff. And we see that Corey was able to do such a thing. So that was really interesting for Corey himself and his advancement and his development and his powers and what he can do. At this time, Malia is van hopping from the news vans, and she's trying to pull out the cables and the cords and stuff and cause like a shortage, so that way they don't have an opportunity to get the signals across, so that way that transmission and the frequency don't start, so that the beast doesn't get there. So that's what she's doing. She's trying to like take all that out right now, or during that time as the game is going. But back on the field, Kira, the kitsune in her is taking over. It's becoming, she's not being able to contain it anymore. So she's actually to the point where she's hurting people on the lacrosse field, or the lacrosse field, and in the game she's just going crazy on people. She's hitting them and she's scoring. I mean, it's good, but she's taking it too far, and we see that maybe she doesn't know how to pull it back. She can't really control her powers, and that's a big struggle. That's a big problem that we're seeing with Kira. Back to Parrish, Lydia is now talking to him through like a clear window that's inside that encasement that he's in, and she's asking him about, she's calling him Jordan, or Jordan Parrish, which is his name. But the Hellhound is telling her that that's not him. He goes on to list a few names that that he goes by, and he tells Lydia that Parrish isn't there, that Parrish died. I know, let's take that in. Parrish died to the Hellhound. That's what he's saying. And Lydia doesn't understand it. I don't understand it at that point. And so they're trying to figure out, like, what do you mean? And she questions, like, what do you mean Parrish died? How did he die? That scene is, like, they left it at that part for now. I think to just really get us, like, wait, what are you talking about? How did Parrish die? This can't be. So I was really shocked. I was like, no. Like, I literally got chills, and I was just like, they can't kill Parrish off. I can't do that. So from that scene, they cut that right there. Then they go back, and it's back to the lacrosse game and everything that's going on there. And we see that Kira's still going crazy on the field, and she's hitting people and like leaving a trail of like players behind and stuff. And what's his name? Coach says, "Wow," he goes, "that girl is serious about charity." Because she's like really hitting people, like getting really aggressive on the field. So I thought that was really funny. Kira eventually just loses it, and she gets her lacrosse bat thingy, I'm not sure what it's called, and she hits Brett over the head really hard, and then they send her off the field, and she's disqualified from playing because she's just too aggressive. So she goes and leaves, and Brett's sister follows Kira into the school. All this is all going on, and Malia's trying to take out those cords or the signals or whatever. She's jumping from van to van, and when she jumps from one to the next, the desert wolf grabs hold of her and pulls her down, and Malia gets hit really hard because she falls and she hits the side of the van at the top really hard. So she's on the floor and she looks up and she sees her. She calls her the B word. I'm not going to say it, but she calls her the B word. And Corinne just looks at her. She's like, "I prefer mommy," or something like that. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny, but it was really like intense scene between the two of them. While this is going on, like I said, Brett's sister and Kira are fighting. The lacrosse game is going on. Scott's on the field, as is Styles and Liam. And so everybody's at this point scattered, which isn't good for the Pack because this wasn't their initial plan. They were supposed to get in, do all their stuff, and get out and try to figure this out. But now things are just going wrong really fast. Um, we go back to Malia and Corinne, her mother, and Corinne's talking to her about something like a compromise, that if Malia were to go with the Desert Wolf right now, or at that moment, she would leave the pack alone. But of course Malia doesn't want to. Why would she? Her mom's trying to kill her. But at the same time, Malia's trying to kill her mom too, so I don't know. I don't honestly think that either one's gonna die. In my opinion, I think that maybe Corinne will just leave, but I don't think Malia will actually kill her. But we have to see. We have yet to see. But Malia tells her, she's like, I'm gonna kill you. And then the Desert Wolf says, you're definitely my daughter. So, going back to Kira and her fighting Brett's sister in the locker room now, or in the hallway, Scott's listening and on the field, and he could hear that something's going on, something's wrong. So he leaves the field and he has to go and try to find Kira. All the while the game is still going on. And Scott mentioned something that nobody's there getting hurt or something like that, but they are. The pack are getting hurt. So something is going on, something internally is happening within the pack. I'm thinking it's because of the beast, that something's going on. So everything's just going haywire with everybody right now. And when Scott gets to Kira, she's so far gone right now, and the kitsune is starting to take over, and her eyes are glowing, and she's fighting really viciously. She's only speaking in Japanese right now, which means that it's not necessarily Kira talking, it's the kitsune inside of her. It's the fox spirit that's taking over her. So when Scott gets to her, it's not necessarily Kira, it's the kitsune who's taking over her, that makes her push Scott. And Scott's she pushes him to the floor and she hits him, and he's trying to stop her. So he gets up and he's screaming at her, and finally he gets her to break her trance that she's in, and she's freaked out, she's scared, she doesn't understand what she's doing, why she was doing any of it. Really, really interesting part, because as we've seen in the beginning of the season, that if Kira doesn't get control of the kitsune, it's gonna consume her, and it won't be Kira anymore. So that's really scary. That's something that they have to get under control really fast. In all this, we see Hayden run down to the field, and she's talking with Liam. I think they're on a quick break or something, I don't know. But she tells Liam along the lines that she chose him and his pack, and they're really happy about that. But to me, I don't trust Hayden. I don't trust her one bit, especially because of the last few episodes and her being around to Kaylin and him telling her that she has to fear her ability to lie. I'm wondering, is she playing Liam's pack? Is she playing Liam so that way she can get into the pack and destroy it from the inside to help Theo, or how is this gonna work? Because I personally don't trust her intentions with Liam at this point. So I don't know. We do see a little part in this time that Stiles is looking around and he's really worried about Malia, because all the signals and stuff, there seem to be fine, and the towers, the towers thingies that they're trying to stop from getting the signals to each other, they're still intact. So he's realizing that something's going on with Malia, that she hasn't gotten to all of them yet. Okay, so we go back to Lydia and Parrish and the Argents, and Lydia's trying to talk to the Hellhound. She's trying to get Parrish out, or try to bring out Parrish in the Hellhound, but the Hellhound is saying that no, that Parrish died. And she asks the Hellhound, when did he die? And he tells her basically it was that time in Afghanistan when the bomb went off and Parrish we assumed he lived, but maybe he did die. But he says something along the lines where she says, "When did he die?" And the Hellhound says, "When I was born." That got me really, 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 really like, oh my god, no. Like, cause I think to me, Parrish is one of my favorite characters, and I've liked him since like when he first started. And he was like kind of scrawny and weird, and he was really funny. And I think like throughout the years that we've seen him, he's really advanced and really developed his character. And I feel like he's really essential to the show. I think he's essential to Lydia. I think together that they make a really great team, that they make sense to me to be together. As far as him dying, I'm really scared because I don't want to know that Parrish has been dead this whole time, and I don't know how they're gonna work this whole angle. A little into the scene, okay? They somehow like managed to get Parrish to come out of the beast. He gets out of the encasement that he's in, and Lydia's holding him on the floor, and he tells her he finally knows who he is. He knows what he does, who he is, what his purpose is, and what he has to do. And he tells her that at this point he has to leave. At this point, I don't understand why he has to leave. I'm wondering if maybe it has to do with that fresco that was in the tunnels that Chris and Gerard found, that had the beast and the hellhound going after each other and the pile of bodies on the floor. I'm wondering if maybe Parrish fighting the beast is what's going to trigger people to die, if that's what's making things worse and worse, if that's why he has to leave. So we don't really see after this point what's going on with Parrish in this episode, so they're left at pretty much at that. So we're going to have to find out this coming week maybe why he has to leave, get a little further into that. All the while this is all happening, Corinne, the desert wolf, is still taunting Malia. She's pretty much picking on her, and it's just, she's mean. We know that. While this is going on, okay, I don't know why he's doing this at this moment, but Styles is behind the bleachers. You know how when people sit, there's like those openings and stuff. So he's right there, and he's like pulling at some girl's tennis shoes, and he's trying to like get the size, and he's trying to see, and he starts getting really aggressive pulling it, and she goes and she like pulls her foot out and like kind of kicks him, and he like stumbles, and he goes and hits his head on the side of like a bleacher or something, and he like falls down, and he's like knocked out at that point. Really funny scene. I don't know, I think Styles is such like a goofball. He's so hilarious though. So let's going back to Malia and Corinne. This is just getting really heated, their conversation. They're going back and forth, and I think essentially Corinne is trying to figure out a way that she could break Malia, try to find her weak spot so that she could capitalize on it, and somehow that could help her in killing Malia. But Malia's getting really defensive, and she's trying to protect the pack. She don't want her mom to go near them. And Corinne is like, she's getting deeper and deeper into trying to figure out what it is that's making her tick. So she's getting meaner and meaner and saying really mean, like, bad things to her. And just at that moment, Corinne finds her leverage. So Corinne sees Styles, and he's getting up after being knocked out, and he's all like goofy. He's getting up looking all weird, and his head's hurting. Obviously he's off balance. So Corinne figures out that Styles is the reason that Malia is being so protective. She figures that Styles is essential to Malia's like defense, why she's trying to protect the pack so bad, why she doesn't want to like let it go and go with Corinne, or what's making Malia tick. And she found it. It's Styles. It's Styles that is making Malia like more protective. And we see from that point that is who Corinne is going to use to get at Malia. because when Corinne points out Styles, Malia turns around and looks at him, and by the time she looks back, her mother is gone. So she doesn't know what's going to happen, what she's going to do to Styles, but what we do know is that she is going to go after him. Really interesting part. I have a big smile on my face because I am like a huge fan of the relationship between Styles and Malia. That's honestly my favorite relationship in this whole series of the show. I like Styles and Malia, and then Kira and Scott. But I really was like, oh my god, Stalia lives, am I right? So it was really interesting. I was wondering how they're gonna bring this back in, because Jeff Davis himself has talked about there being hope, and there's still a chance that Styles and Malia will be together, that he's still gonna play that angle because he finds that romance is a big part of Teen Wolf. So to me, that's hopeful. I think that maybe they might get back together, that there's still a chance for that. So we have yet to see. Hopefully it does happen in these coming episodes. At the time that all this is going on, that pitching noise actually goes off by one of the newscasters pressing like a button on the microphone or something, and it sets off this ringing pitch that goes around everybody. And as we know, if that pitch went off, that means that it was pretty much just like the calling. It's like the bat signal for Batman, but this is like that pitch like signal the Beast to come. So you know things are gonna go bad really quick here. As the sound goes off, people are like trying to regain like their hearing and stuff, and we hear the Beast growling. And at this point, Liam is on the field. He's the only one on the field. Styles technically is, but he's like somewhere like towards off to the side. And Scott and Kira and Brett's sister are inside the school. Brett is on the field. I don't know if he's like knocked out or what happened after him and Kira. So Malia was fighting with her mom, so she's kind of far off on the field. At that point, the Beast makes himself present, and he's on top of a school bus. The first person to see him, though, is Liam, and Liam's eyes turn, and we see Liam run at him. Hence, the picture today, that there's Liam, that there's the Beast, and that's where they leave. They like clash, but we don't see what happens with Liam. We don't see if he gets hurt, if the Beast gets hurt. We don't see at this point who took the bad end of like their clash, what's gonna happen. So much stuff is going on, but we do know that the Beast is there in the school. So what makes me think maybe the Beast or the teenager was on the field or is in the crowd or at the school, because this is such a huge like event that was going on at the school for charity, and they have all these things going on. So I'm wondering if maybe the teenager who goes to Beacon Hills was there. So that could be the reason why the Beast got there so quick, or why he was so crazy. But what I want to know, okay, somebody asked me if maybe Corey could be the Beast, because he's having a hard time healing, whereas a lot of other people aren't. And it's like hard for him to heal from what the Hellhound did to him. So this person asked me if I had any thoughts about maybe Corey being the Beast. I'm not sure. There's always a possibility, but what makes me a little skeptical is that Corey and Mason were in the bus when all this was going on, and of course the beast comes from the area where the buses are. And maybe it could be Corey, but maybe it could be Mason, because Mason was there too. So I'm not sure. It's really getting interesting, but we have so much to delve into, so much to find out, and we only have about 3 episodes left of the season, 4 episodes left. So I think that we're going to learn more things quicker, and maybe they're definitely going to, I'm pretty sure, leave some stuff for the coming season. In my mind, I'm thinking we're going to still be seeing more of the Dread Doctors in Season 6, and I think we're going to address more of Theo's pack and the Chimeras in Season 6. I think this season, these last few episodes, they're going to try to figure out how they could, they're going to try to figure out what the Beast is, who he is, and how to stop him, and what's going on with Parrish. I think that's going to be the next few episodes, and I think they're going to leave the season off somewhere with Corinne. I'm feeling maybe she's going to like take Styles, or to not take Styles. Malia's going to agree to go with her. That's what I'm thinking they're going to do with that. I'm hoping Parrish doesn't die. Believing that Kara, everything that's going on with her, I think we're going to find that out more in next season. And I think I feel we're going to have more development next season. I think this is enough for this last few episodes to be dealing with the Beast and all that. I think they're going to save the other part for next season. But overall, I thought this episode was really intense. It was really had a great balance of excitement, comedy, dialogue. Everything was just really well balanced in this episode, and I can't say enough about how good this show is. I say it every episode that I do here, but I really do like the show, and I think like every season has just progressed and gotten better and better, that I feel at this point they have potential to go a lot longer than just season 6. So we have a lot more to see, a lot more to go through. So that'll do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments section, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope you all have a great week, and we'll see you next video. Bye.